welcome back to the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV. I'm your host, Jeff Gorham, and we've had 2 great weeks of high school football, 3 games on the docket for Riverside TV, and now I am joined by my partner in the booth, Ghazal Hassan. How you doing, Ghazal? Good to see you today.
Jeff, good to be back with you. It was fun this week. We had a doubleheader Thursday and Friday. 2 close games. I think one was a little bit better than the other, but they were both fun games because they were close. The result was in the air until the end, and we got to call them.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've had 3 games so far on Riverside TV. All 3 of them have been great games. The Norte Vista game was a 7-point thriller, but we came back on Friday night and had ourselves a fantastic game between Ramona and King, didn't we?
The alma mater, your alma mater, ran out to the big lead, and then the Kings just chipped away, and to the point where it was a 1-score game late. A late defensive stop by Ramona kind of sealed it. Their offense looked like they were a little bit ahead early in the game, and then King adjusted, and King played very well defensively later in the game, ended up getting a score, and they got a defensive touchdown that made it a 4-point game. But in the end, the Rams, Coach Mush and Ram High, were able to hold off King. Really important win for them, particularly after that first game against Corona got canceled. So congratulations to Coach Muszkinski and his kids. And let me tell you something. You and I know Coach McMains real well. He's going to do a great job at King. If you're a King fan, there's plenty to be optimistic about moving forward.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about, so we've seen 3 of the teams in the River Valley League. We've seen Hillcrest, we've seen Norte Vista, and we've seen Ramona. Those are really the top 3 teams that we've seen the last few years in the River Valley League. How do you see so far early on? I know it's, week 1 or week 2 actually now. Where do you see those teams kind of going further on this season?
Novi's Novi. They're going to do what they do. They're going to run behind that big offensive line. We saw Eddie Elaine and Carbajal both, looking pretty good, kind of assuming their roles. I think, and thank you, by the way, for bringing Coach out on Friday, because talking to him, I get the sense that he wants to add a little bit of a wrinkle. And I'm telling you, maybe in week 6 or week 7, that little screen pass, that slip screen to Eddie Elaine is going to be interesting to watch how they use that. I like Hillcrest. They're athletic, they're physical, but they're young. And what I like about them is Coach Travis Carter, he's really honed in. He said, listen, guys are still learning on the job. Spring was great, but it wasn't the same as the full preparation for fall. Now we're into the fall. And from what I saw, it was a close game against Poly. Poly's an experienced team. They hung in there with them. To me, Hillcrest is one of those teams that once the calendar turns to October, watch out.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we saw Poly, we both agree Poly is much improved under Coach Rice and Coach Powell. They've got it, seem to be going in the right direction.
Yeah, and they had been going in the right direction, and they got hit with a couple of little things. I thought Coach DeWitt had it going in the right direction from a culture standpoint, and they're just going to do what they do. John Rice, although he's the offensive coordinator this year, he kind of builds a defense. They're going to play some defense, and they're going to run power. They're going to run between the tackles. Bill Powell bought that over from San Jacinto. So they're going to keep things simple, and that should work for them in that league. I do think Coach Rice and Coach Powell, they're trying to figure it out because they want to make a run in the playoffs. So beyond the playoffs, that's something they're going to have 7-8 weeks to figure out, hey, how are we going to do this? What are we strong at? What do we need to exploit?
Exactly. Well, hey, we've got another one this Friday night. We've got Notre Dame at John W. North. 2 teams in Riverside we haven't seen. We haven't seen La Sierra and we haven't seen Arlington. But after this week, we're going to kind of have an idea how good some of these Riverside teams are. Let's start first with Notre Dame. What do you think of Notre Dame?
In recent years, they've been very good. Traditionally, they've been very good. They were a little undermanned when we saw them in the spring, but I think their numbers are a little bit, are back to a degree. They have a new coach in Carnell Hunt. I mean, we see the same thing happen at Notre Dame every year. It's like, well, how are they going to play? They only have 30 to 40 guys, and it seems to be okay. The challenge I see against North for them is probably 7 of their 11 starters play on both sides of the football, and they have some younger guys they're rotating in to give them breathers. But, man, North is just a big physical team. But that said, it's a good test for Notre Dame. It's a good, it's kind of a good measuring stick for them because they'll play this kind of big, experienced, physical team, and whether they win or lose, they'll be able to learn something from this game and carry that stuff forward.
And now going to third in Chicago, John W. North High School. I mean, there's been times when they have been athletic, fundamental, tough, strong. And do we expect anything different this season under a new head football coach?
I mean, OP has been a head coach before, and he falls very much in line. They talk about coaching trees. Very much he's in the Dennis Brown coaching tree. So what he picked up from Coach Brown. Remember, he played for Coach Brown's brother as well when he was at RCC. So he's got that tradition moving forward. And I really do think the spring helped Coach Vaipulu really put his own stamp on that team. I mean, we've covered him for years. He's a tremendous defensive line coach. So the big boys up front are going to be moving. They're going to be showing up in a bad mood. They're going to be hostile, agile, mobile, any adjective you want to go. So he's a very good defensive line coach, and all he's got to do is take what he's done with the defensive line, in past years, North, Poly, wherever he's been, and I think he was at Tockwitz for a little bit, and now that's got to extend to the whole team. And I just think they're kind of in his image. They're kind of tough. They're no nonsense. They're hardworking, and most importantly, they have talent. Now they really use Mini North. They really use the spring almost as kind of like spring ball, almost like a training, scout team kind of deal, and they ended up winning all their games. So that kind of gave them some confidence. So these young guys who we kind of threw out there in the spring now have this confidence moving forward. It's no surprise to see they're 2-0.
And talking about why they're 2-0, a big part of that is their phenomenal running back. We've seen him for the last 4 years, Venancio Mikaele. How phenomenal is he? I've told everybody for the last 3 years how fun he is to watch. He is very dynamic.
Well, listen, he obviously is a fantastic, fun guy to watch. He's a physical runner. He's one of those guys that kind of runs towards contact rather than away from it. But Austin Berry was a big part of that. That big left tackle they had. He's at Arizona State now, and so he's gone, but they've replaced him, and that's really where it starts. And them taking nothing away from Venancio Mikaele, who's a fantastic talent and fantastic running back, but they've really built that from the inside out. The defensive line and the offensive line for North are the keys. And hey, Jeff, they're throwing the ball. Jaden Gamble's throwing the ball. They actually have thrown the ball for more yardage in the first 2 games than they've run the ball. So here we go. Now we have a balanced attack, and that makes Mikaele all that much more effective because you don't know, is he going to catch the ball? I think he caught 4 passes on Friday. Can he catch the ball out of the backfield, or do we have to deal with him running the football?
Well, Gazal, you and I will be in the booth Friday night as we are head up to 3rd in Chicago as John W. North and Notre Dame will duke it out on Riverside TV. We'll see you Friday. Thank you for joining us on the Coach's Perspective today, and we look forward to hearing you throughout the season. Thank you very much, buddy. Have a great day. And welcome back to the Coach's Perspective. We are now joined by the head coach of John W. North High School, the Huskies, OP Vaipulu. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, how does it feel to be the head coach at John W. North High School? I know you guys played in the spring, but now this is back to real life, real football. How are you feeling about being the head coach at 3rd in Chicago?
It's awesome, man. It's a blessing. Obviously, it's a lot of tradition here at this school. There's a history of great sports, excellence out here. So just being a long line of great coaches here is awesome, obviously, and follow, Coach Brown is awesome as well.
Yeah, talking about
Coach. It's good.
You're talking about Coach Brown. He's a legend, been around forever, a good friend of ours. What was it like? I mean, how did you end up at North? Did he say, hey, did he call you and say, I want you back over here and let's get this thing going?
Yeah, so I was with him at Poly, and I followed him up at Poly, and then after I left Poly, I was at Tockwitz High School, and when he took the North job, there was a teaching opening and coaching opening, so it was great for me to get back into the city and back at North, because I was here at North back with Coach Paredes in 2010 through 12. Then I left, but it's great, man. Had a teaching opening and a football opening, assistant coach opening, so it was great.
Now, talking about Coach Brown, I know he moved up into the administrative office, but does he still have his hand in helping you out at all?
Yeah, I mean, well, he's, with the COVID protocols and that stuff, he's running around like crazy out there. I'm sure as everybody else is doing with the ADs. And when he gets a chance, he comes out there and tries to help out, and especially with special teams and and linebacker stuff. But obviously, his office is right down the way, so if we ever need any, advice or anything like that, we can always go down there and ask him. But when he has time, he's out there.
Oh, nice. Now,
And
Coach,
so that's
well, Coach, I'll tell you what, you guys had a fantastic, antiquated spring season. You have a lot coming back. You have one of those phenomenal running backs I've seen since he was a freshman, Venancio Michele. But can you tell us a little bit? Let's start with your offense. Tell us a little bit about your offense, some of the big boys up front, and some of your skilled guys.
Yeah, so up front, we had to replace, obviously, Austin Berry. He was a 4-year starter for us, who's now at Arizona State. And then Jaden Johnson was a guy that played for us in the spring. He's at RCC. He's going to be a big-time guy. And so we replaced, 3 or 4 guys on the O-line. And so the returning starters are Don Vargas and TJ Tarasio. They're back. And then we have Arthur Marquez, Manny Ramirez, and Andrew Castro. So we have some guys that are filling big shoes, but they're doing a great job so far and continuing to learn. That's kind of one of our, not issues, but kind of something we got to look at to see how far they progress. And so far, they're doing well. And then at the quarterback position, we have Jaden Gamble, who split time with Tyler Speak in the spring season, half and half. And this is his first time as a full-time starter. And right now he's doing a great job of facilitating the offense and, taking what the defense has given us. Obviously, we have, I think, a plethora of weapons around us. CO, and obviously is one of them. And then the running back, we have Hassan Elliott as well, who's a great change of pace, scat back, and plays multiple positions for us, as well as Amir Ridgely, who's one other running back. And our receivers are led by Ashar Granger, Jeremiah Calhoun, and Damon Ayala. And so I think we got a pretty special group. I think we have a pretty talented group. They've been working their butts off from spring to now. And so, we're scoring points, which is good, and playing real well right now. So the offensive line is coming along, and we're doing a great job of trying to score points, obviously, and not give the ball away.
Now, you guys are throwing the ball a little more this year, too, in the first couple games, haven't you?
Yeah. That just goes to the talent of Jaden, and then the trust that we put, in his hands. And obviously, we can always hand it off to our 2 guys right there, Seal and Hassan. So I think we're in pretty good hands. We'll see as we progress through the season, and hopefully, the COVID stuff doesn't stop us or anything from having a full 10-game season. But so far, first 2 games, we're happy right now. A lot of mistakes, a lot to work on, but we're happy to be, 2-0.
And let's talk about, the passion you have, the defensive line guy. I know you're a big defensive line guy. Tell us a little bit about your defense and what we can expect to see from the Huskies this season.
Yeah, defensive line-wise, we have Manny Castro. He's our end. He started for us. First full-time starter in the spring, but he played a lot in our league title year when we had the other big dogs over there, Missy and Naeem Hoxie, some names right there, and Alonzo Elliott. But Manny DeCastro is leading the line now with Christian Wilson. Some of the younger guys, Danny Salvador, and the first-timer Harrison Barkley. He's a first-time player as a wrestler, as a senior, and he's like, yeah. So we're a little bit green on the D-line, but right now we're happy where we're at. Just them playing hard, and then our linebacker core and our DB is where we hang our head on as far as experience. We have Mafalel Tupou. He's been basically a 4-year starter like Seal. On the defensive side of the ball, he doesn't get a lot of time or shine or whatever, because we had Telly and those guys before him. But he's been a steady presence for us and one of our big hitters. At our outside linebacker, we have Devon Toki. He's quick, played in the spring. A lot of guys remember him. He's a quick guy off the edge. And then at our mic is Johnny Tupou, the Tupou cousins or brothers, whatever you want to call them. Leading from the middle of the field, and then in the backfield we got Tyjon Payne, Rohan Preston, who's another specimen for us, and Eli Hughes is a safety that played a lot in the spring, and then we had one of our guys, win a couple transfers, but guy that stepped up big time so far is Andre Lindsey, and so defensively, if you watch us, we're trying to be disciplined, attack the ball carrier. Make sure we're running to the ball, swarming, and trying to get the ball back, limit the big plays, get the ball back to our offense.
Now, Coach, you guys have a nice win streak going from last year into this year. What are the goals for the North Huskies this season? What are your team goals? What are your personal goals?
Yeah, I think our team goal always has just been to get to the playoffs. Win league, get to the playoffs, but really just get better every day, every game. Trying to maximize our potential. We're never satisfied, with what we're doing until, we get better. And so, even though right now we're 2-0 early in the season, we still have a lot to work on. The boys are continuing to work hard, but we have a lot to work on. And my personal goal is just, make sure the kids are having fun. When they leave this place, they feel like they've accomplished something and they learn, lifelong goals that go from our program. Being responsible, hard work ethic, discipline, and hey, what's up, Lee? Sorry, we're in the office right now. Becoming great young men when they go on, become fathers and family members and whatever their profession and later on in life is.
Now, finally, let's fast forward to Friday evening. What can you tell us what you've seen on film of Notre Dame?
They got some talent. I think the quarterback is the same from the spring. He's a sophomore. I think he's like 6'3". I don't know. I forget his name. Again, we just have the one film on him. And there's a couple of guys returning on the O-line, but I think they're pretty green overall. They played hard. They made some mistakes. I think that kind of cost them the game against Hillcrest. But they play hard. They're lying in numbers right now, but we're expecting them to come out and be ready to go. They're a proud program, successful program, and so I know we're gonna get their best shot, and so we have to continue to be better and get better at what we do to make sure we come out victorious against them.
Well, Coach, it's great seeing you back leading the helm at John W. North. You're doing a great job, and we're looking forward to Friday night as your Huskies are going to battle Notre Dame on 3rd and Chicago on Riverside TV. Thanks, Coach, for joining us. We'll see you Friday night. And welcome back to the Coach's Perspective. We are now joined by one of my best friends in the entire world, the brain trust of inland sports, the great Pep Fernandez, my partner, my friend, my brother. How are you today, Pep?
Dude, I'm so much better now that I'm on the Coach's Perspective with you, breaking down some Riverside football.
Well, you and I, we haven't been able to hang out with each other too much during all this COVID stuff. And I'll tell you what, it's nice to see the beard looks good, you look healthy, and you sound great. What have you been up to, my friend?
Just feasting on a healthy dose of high school football the last couple of weeks, just like you and your Hawaiian shirts.
I have to mix it up. I don't want to wear a suit and tie when it's 113 degrees out. I don't want to pass out on air, and especially sitting in those little press boxes, it gets a little warm. So I'm going to go ultra Hawaiian until it gets a little cooler.
No, smart move. It's so hot out there, but you look cool, at least in those Hawaiian shirts. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, Pep, we're going to have our first Inland Sports City of Riverside rankings. I think we put it through the Inland Sports Supercomputer, and we came up with the top 9 teams in the city of Riverside.
Yeah, you know what? And the computer never lies, right? We have this very complex formula that I will not go into. We do not have enough time on this show, but it's this complex formula. We go in the lab, we crunch the numbers, and then we came out with these rankings for all the Riverside schools.
Yeah, well, let's go through those rankings. Let's talk a little bit about the top tier. We got at number, let's start from the bottom, or you want to go from the top? What do you think?
Hey, you're the host. You're the guy that wears the Hawaiian shirts. Go for it.
I'll tell you what. Let's start. Let's don't say at the bottom, but let's start at number 9. A new coach, kind of a new program, rebuilding La Sierra High School. What do you think of La Sierra?
Yeah, Sebastian Hernandez is back. The first coach from Hillcrest, now at La Sierra. They won their opening game, but it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for the Eagles the rest of the way out. They beat New View Bridge in their opener, and that's great. Build a little confidence, build a little momentum for the rest of the year. But it's going to be tough for La Sierra, at least to climb up these rankings.
And then let's go right up the next one. Number 8, Notre Dame. A lot of questions because no one knows what we're going to get from Notre Dame. We're going to see it this Friday against North.
Sure. I mean, you know what? Since Derek Johnson left the program, Notre Dame's been kind of up and down. They have a new head football coach in Carnell Hunt. But yeah, that's going to be an uphill battle when they take on North this coming Friday on Riverside TV. So yeah, it's like a big question mark. We just really don't know a whole lot about Notre Dame. We do know they got beat by Hillcrest last Friday pretty handily. So we'll see if the Titans bounce back.
And at number 7, we have another new head coach at Arlington High School. They're putting up some points, but where do you think they're going to end up in the rankings as we go along?
Probably right in the middle, like they're going to finish, in their league standings as well. Arlington's another program, I would say, similar to Notre Dame, and, just question marks. We just don't know a whole lot about this program because they've gone through several coaches the last couple of years. And I think stability is just the name of the game for Arlington, for Notre Dame, for some of these teams who have gone through some head coaches and have had some ups and downs.
And let's talk about that stability at the next spot. Number 6, Hillcrest. Travis Carter, great coach, always has great athletes. I think they're a different team than we saw in week 1. We're going to see in week 6. How do you see them playing out?
This is a very young team from according to Coach Carter. So we know they're the defending River Valley League champions, but probably not the favorite to win the league this year because they are very young, according to Coach Carter. So I think as the season goes on, Hillcrest is going to get better because those young guys are going to get all this playing time and great experience.
Exactly. And if we move up to number 5, we're going to go to the land of the Big 8. Martin Luther King, new head coach, new philosophy, new system, but I do see it going in a positive direction.
Yeah, it's got to, Jeff, because, we're good friends with Jason McMains, the new head football coach at King High School, and he's won everywhere he's been. So, listen, are they going to win, next week or the week after? It's going to take some time. He just got to King High School in the month of July. So, he barely got a hold of that program. So it's going to take some time, but he's won everywhere else. I have no reason to, think that he's not going to win at King. I think he will.
Here's the trivia question for you. We found out last week.
Uh-oh.
Who is the last football coach at King to make the CIF playoffs back-to-back years?
Oh, back-to-back years?
Yes, the last coach to make the playoffs back-to-back years.
Was it Kevin Corden?
No, it was Ken Mashinsky. Mashinsky, it's been that long. Our guy over at Ram High was the last guy to get the Wolves in the playoffs in back-to-back seasons.
Oh, mush, man. That's another guy that wins wherever he goes, right? King High School, Ramona High School. That guy's a winner.
Exactly. Hey, let's talk about one of our favorite people in the entire world. Coach Rice over at Riverside Poly. They're in the 4 spot. Man, we've seen Coach DeWitt really started it with a great guy, great mentor. And then it's Coach Rice, Coach Powell. They've really turned the corner, I see, with Riverside Poly. They're looking pretty good, I'm going to tell you, Pep. Better than I thought they would be.
It's kind of like King High School, right? With McMains over there. They're going to be good, but it's going to take some time. That's exactly what's going on with Riverside Poly, but they're kind of at the back end of that transition now with Coach Rice and Coach Powell on staff. I think we're finally getting a glimpse of what Riverside Poly can be, and I think they're going to be pretty good, and I think they're going to make a serious run at their league championship, the Inland Valley League title. I like this Poly team. They're finally, coming around. But again, it's a process. I know it sounds cliche, but it's a process. And they're finally coming to that back end of the process where they're going to start seeing the fruits of their labor and getting some wins.
And think of it this way. He had 50-plus guys on the freshman program last year in the spring. They were undefeated. And I'll tell you what, he thinks the cupboards are getting fuller and fuller and fuller as the years are going on.
Listen, the process, right? You know what I mean? I hate to sound like a cliche machine over here, but John Rice is a winner. Bill Powell's a winner. They got some great coaches over there, so you knew it was going to happen.
All right, now the number 3 spot, my alma mater. We just talked about him already, Ken Mashinsky over at Ramona High School. Hey, I'll tell you what, when I saw them against Martin Luther King on Friday night, pleasantly surprised of the young play and the big jumbo line that Ramona has. Ken Mashinsky has himself a pretty good team. His son is the starting quarterback, too.
They are really good. And Jeff, if you think about it, the last time we had a real football season in 2019, Ramona went to a CIF championship game. So Coach Mashinsky got on campus at Ram High and got things going in the positive direction. And like a lot of the schools, you tried to weather the storm through the pandemic, and it looks like they're on the other side of that, and they're still playing a high level of football. So I think Coach Mashinsky with his son, was it Nate Johnson, I think,
Yes.
right, at quarterback. And they got that great running back, Bo Bruins, who might have the best football name in the city of Riverside. They're in good hands, man. In fact, that Ramona versus Norte Vista game, at least on paper, I hope it's going to be a great game. I hate to look too far ahead, but that should be the league championship game.
And talking about that Norte Vista team, Ken Batdorf in his 184th year at the helm of the Braves. I mean, he just continues to win. He's got great running backs. What can you say about the E-Train, Eddie Elaine, the brother of Freddie Holly? They've got some horses. They've got that big line. But Ken Batdorf runs that smash mouth offense. They come in at number 2.
Yeah, Jeff, I sound like a broken record because when we talk about Norte Vista, it's always the same story. Like you could have played this show, 10 years ago, and it's the same storyline. Big physical offensive line, great running back. Ken Batdorf's been there a million years. They just keep winning. Like we could play this show probably 10 years ago and then play it 10 years in the future, and it's going to be the same thing going on with Norte Vista, but it works, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, from the cliche machine over here. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're not. They're just going to keep running the football. They're going to drive you into the ground. And Ken Batdorf is going to be around for a long, long time winning football games at Norte Vista.
Yeah, Jesse Carvajal at fullback, Eddie Elaine at running back. So you have Thunder and Lightning. They're going to cause problems for a lot of teams, especially when they hit the River Valley League.
Yeah, Novi's going to be favorite, even though Hillcrest is the reigning champ, but Novi's going to be the favorite. And again, I'm excited to see what Ramona's going to do.
Okay, and finally, the first week of our Riverside City rankings at number 1 is 3rd in Chicago, JW North. What do you know about these guys, Pep?
They're really, really athletic, and they're very physical. In fact, I saw them this past Friday, and they hammered Long Beach Jordan. And Jeff, I know you know this guy because you call the games, Venancio Micaele, who he's a 4-year starter. We've been talking about this guy for years and years now, but he's finally a senior at North, and nobody, and I mean this, nobody runs harder or more violent or aggressive than Venancio Micaele. Nobody.
He jumps over guys. He runs through them. He runs around them. And I'll tell you what, North though is throwing the football, so there's going to be a little bit different wrinkle to this North High School team this year.
Jeff, you are exactly right. Their quarterback Jaden Gamble, when they're not handing it off to Micaele, they're going to the air. Like he's a great, tall, left-handed quarterback, spreading the ball out. So again, if you have to defend the run, then you're going to try to pick them apart in the pass game. And if you're focusing on the pass game, you're going to just hand the ball off to Micaele in the run game. So North can beat you in a variety of different ways. They look really, really good. And when you look at their league down the road, it's going to come down between them and Orange Vista in the Sun Belt League.
Exactly. Well, Pep, that is our city rankings for the week number 2 going into this great football schedule here on Riverside TV. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. We can always check out the Inland Sports Show with Pep Fernandez, always on Thursday nights, correct?
Jeff, it's Wednesday nights. What are you kidding me?
Is it Wednesday nights? Yes. The pandemic screwed me up. So Wednesday nights at 6 p.m., make sure you check out Pep Fernandez and the Inland Sports Show. We're going to throw these rankings into the computer every single week, and we'll come out with something different. And thank you again, Pep. It's always great seeing you. We hope to have you at a City of Riverside game this season.
You got it, brother. I'll bring the Hawaiian shirt.
You got it. Hey, that has been the Coach's Perspective. We'll see you Friday night as Notre Dame will take on 3rd in Chicago, John W. North, at 7 p.m. on Riverside TV. Good night, everybody. We'll see you at the game.